High Fight IQ, presented by Expanse Energy.
Welcome back to this week's episode of High Fight IQ. I am your host, Brad Barnes. As always, this is brought to you by Expanse Energy Solutions. Go to expansejobs.com and apply online. It's also brought to you by Fast Signs Midland, banners, marketing materials, everything you need to help promote your business. Jason Hogue at Fast Signs has you covered. And Bruno Bastos Jiu-Jitsu Academy, Midland, Texas. Go to bastosbjjmidland.com. Try 2 weeks free for you or your kids. Jiu-Jitsu, judo, wrestling, kickboxing will get you taken care of. Joined today, again, by the Honey Badger, Desmundo. Dez Hill, how you doing?
Good to be here.
Yo, big weekend. You guys had 3 fighters on Premier Fight Series amateur show in Andrews, Texas. 3 wins.
Right. It's always good to get a win, but to get 3 in one night is the icing on the cake.
Absolutely. You know, it's one of those things. I was talking to Bruno about it. I've talked to some other people. I will go to an event and corner guys fighting in the main event on a show like Ryzen or the UFC or whatever, or I'll go and corner 8 guys fighting on Access. I cornered 1 guy in Midland. I was so tired, and you tell me if you feel the same. It's one of those things where when it's local, you got to put your money where your mouth is, because you promote yourself. Everybody's going to promote themselves as I have the best way of doing things.
Right.
And you have to. I don't think anybody's lying. You know, I'm not going to say I've got the best way of doing things, and I don't really honestly believe it. And you're not going to say that.
Right.
So when the fight comes up, you have to be able to prove what you are putting out there. Did you feel any of that stress?
I'm always more nervous and stressed about my fighters fighting than I am fighting. Like you said, it makes the gym look good, makes the brand look good. You're always going to think you have the best strategy and best plans out there. And, you know, to see your fighters win and perform good, it's a good feeling. And,
you know, the other stressful thing is not just win and perform, but come out of it not injured.
Right.
And them wanting to get back in there and do it. Mm-hmm. You know, I think the most frustrating thing is to have somebody that goes in and then they go, I don't really like this.
Right.
You know,
I've had those fighters before. Had fighters where they fight one fight and I haven't seen them since. Yeah. You know, but luckily, you know, our fighters that fought this past weekend, they're already back in the gym training, getting ready for the next one. So.
Awesome. As far as what's coming up for you, you know, you've been featured on some local news things, newspaper articles, television. You won the King of the Cage interim 170-pound title.
Right.
Break your hand.
Mm-hmm. First round.
First round.
Punch.
First punch. And now, is there an interim champion? Like, how is that working for you? Have you heard kind of what they want to do, what the plans are?
I have no idea. I wasn't supposed to win that fight. They brought me in as a stepping stone for the hometown guy, and you know, just prove like there's no stepping stones nowhere. You got to go in there and perform. And
you know, 4-ounce gloves. In a sport like MMA where there's so many ways to win and lose, there's really no such thing as an easy fight anymore.
Not at all. Anything can happen in this sport. Submissions, one-punch knockouts. Like this sport's totally different from boxing. I tell people that all the time. You know, it's literally anything can happen in there in a fight. So.
Absolutely. You know, what are you seeing for yourself? You know, not just for yourself, but kind of what for your gym. Are there some little goals and then big goals you have coming up that you'd like to see over the course of, you know, before 2018 hits?
Well, of course, I want to win another title this year. The Fury FC, their 155 title. I would love to go fight, what's his name? Colton England,
155 title holder. He's out of Houston. Really well-rounded guy.
Yes.
Got some good jiu-jitsu.
Yes,
wrestling's on point. Good striker.
Yeah, very good. I think that would be a good fight. I would love to collect that belt. As far as my fighters, I would love for, you know, Rough House to have another amateur champion in the gym, and just try to turn those guys pro. You know, when I feel they're ready.
You know, as far as the turning people pro and stuff like that, you come from a background where it's, you know, fought. How many amateur fights did you have?
I've had believe 12 amateur fights.
So double digits for the amateur fights.
Right.
Do you feel that the way I look at it is I don't like people getting hit in the head for free,
Right.
especially when you
Yeah.
see things like the Tim Hague fight over the
Oh,
last
yeah.
weekend, where you're putting yourself out there just for the applause of people and for bragging rights or whatever. Do you have like a magic number in mind, or do you have like, for this guy, I just need to see him fight to this level and then he's good?
Right. It's not a magic number. It's when I feel that we've solved all the holes in their games. There's Roman Huerta. He's one of the best, light heavyweights around, but there's still holes in his game that I think will get exposed in the pros.
Right.
So we're still trying to address those issues. Like you said, I don't want my amateur fighters having a lot of fights, because from my experience, it hurt me during the pros, because I had so many amateur fights. So, okay, he had 12 amateur fights. Let's put him against 2-0, 3-0 guy, his second fight.
Right.
But I was lucky enough, I can count the number of times I've been actually hit solid on two hands. So this last fight was by far my toughest fight, where, I took some punishment. But it's just working good.
Yeah, it seems to be like a thing nowadays where a lot of people are starting to realize that. And then you've got guys like, I'm calling you out, Larry Maxon, Team 515. He's like, I want my guys to have 15 amateur fights before they fight, so that way they've seen everything. I don't like the idea, but he's got a very good, valid reason for it, and it's kind of proven. He's got guys like Derek Krantz and Kevin Aguilar.
Right.
I think it's one of those things where there shouldn't be a this is the bar that everybody has to go to. I think, like you said, you just fill the holes in and go from there.
Yeah, exactly. The only bar we set is when a guy first wants to train. I kind of took your idea, 6 months jiu-jitsu, 6 months striking. Get you a jiu-jitsu competition in, and then we'll talk about, throwing you in the cage.
There's so much, I think there's so much where guys, and you see this all the time as well, guys, especially after there's a show locally, and especially after it's a teammate, next thing you know, they're on Facebook and Instagram saying they want to fight too. I'm looking for a fight, whatever. And then you will ask those same guys, oh, you want to fight? Okay, jump out on the mat. And you'll tell them, I want you to jab, and that's all I want you to do. Jab and footwork, and they're over there doing everything else except what you ask them to do. And then you understand that there's a reason for everything. If you can't follow a simple instruction, then how do I know you can't keep yourself from getting hurt?
Exactly. Since the fights this weekend, I've had 20, 30 messages, calls about people wanting to fight. I actually got into it on Facebook with a guy. Said, I had so many street fights, just throw me in there. He comes in the sparring and he's like, okay, you were right. I got a lot to learn. So it's level. I tell people this all the time. It's levels to this sport. You just can't jump in there with anybody. So
yeah, I don't care how tough you are in the street or in your uncle's backyard. And you taught me boxing and he fought when he was 7 or 8 years old.
Right.
That stuff doesn't count.
Totally
when you do
different.
everything.
Totally different. The game's evolving so much. Even the amateur fighters are, evolving at a high rate.
They're training with access to all the information that you've spent 12 years to get.
Exactly.
And they jump into it and it's available.
Yep.
And that's our fault as coaches, because we're like, I'm going to make everything I can available to these guys, make them successful.
Right.
And they've got the access to the nutrition being the right way. They don't have to cut weight the wrong way anymore.
Right.
I mean, I go to these fights and I see guys. If I see guys hitting mitts, warming up, or cutting weight the wrong way, I'm shocked, because the information's out there.
Right. Yeah. The sport's evolving so much. There's something new to learn every day. There's still thousands of things that I need to learn myself.
I understand.
So, it's
a little exhausting, right?
Oh yeah.
So before you go, I'm going to be talking to King Mo a little later on, and he's talking a little bit about the Bellator event. Real quick, your picks: Mitrione, Fedor, the last Emperor, and the Meathead.
I was a fan of Mitrione for a while, but Fedor, he's a legend. I mean, he's Fedor.
That's all that really needs to be said. That's Fedor.
I think he might catch Mitrione.
Do you think that Fedor has because of how good his sambo is, the ability to fight off his back if he gets followed to the ground after a hard punch or something, and the fact that Mitrione's last several fights with Bellator, he's fought lower level heavyweights and been caught, and you see him do the chicken dance for a second. Do you think that that's almost like gives like a storybook ending for Fedor, especially over the last several fights? I mean, he hasn't been the guy that we wanted to see, the Pride, TRT era, fighting the freak show fights. I want to see that Fedor again.
I think his age is catching up to him, so you're probably not going to see that Fedor.
Right.
But, I mean, the last thing to go is your punching power. So he's still going to be able to hit like the old Fedor. Mitrione has somewhat of a suspect chin. So I've seen Mitrione tire out too. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's
I mean, it's going to be. I think it comes down a lot to who can handle the first hard strike.
Right.
And being heavyweight, the first one can be the one to put you out.
Oh yeah.
And for the main event, the bad guy versus the axe murderer. But I don't know if you know this. Chael Sonnen is my absolute favorite fighter.
I love Chael.
He's the best talker in MMA.
Oh, yeah.
I think like whenever people talk about McGregor's the best trash talker, absolutely, absolutely. But he got it from Chael Sonnen.
Yeah. Chael's shown it. He's like the first one to do it, and everybody else is copying him.
And and he's the first one to do it. And there's also a reason why people don't realize. There's a reason why he made the most money during those years as well.
Yeah. Now McGregor's just taking that game plan and rolling with it. Now he's making $100 million a fight. So
who do you think wins? Especially you look at Chael's last fight against Tito. It definitely didn't go the way that people expected it. And you look at Vanderlei, like so much more time. He's got more time off than Chael has from fighting.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very emotional fighter. Run forward, swinging heavy punches. And Chael's a guy that can body lock you, push you up against the cage, wear you out, drag you down, and then next thing you know, you're exhausted and the fight can be over.
And that's exactly how I think the fight's going to play out. Chael's going to put his head right in his chest, body lock him, take him down, and just wear him out on the ground. After the first round, Silva, he's going to be gassed out. So.
And I'm sure, last question, I'm sure the thing everybody wants to know, Mayweather, McGregor. I know you get as many questions about that in a day as I do. I'm sure of it, especially the fact that you box.
Mm-hmm. It's like I tell people, it's going to be a boring fight. Mayweather's going to easily outbox him. I'm not going to pay $100 on pay-per-view to go watch it. No. So if somebody's getting it, I'll go over there and watch it. I'm not going to pitch in.
You got to turn it into a business opportunity. Dez Hill will come to your viewing party with the King of the Cage belt. He'll sign autographs.
Hey, there it is.
Drink margaritas.
And eat cupcakes.
So. Guys, thank you to Dez Hill. I appreciate you coming out, talking a little bit. Congratulations to your guys. That's a big step, especially because fights locally don't happen very often.
Mm-hmm.
So if you didn't go to this last fight, shame on you. MMA needs to happen more in West Texas, and people not going to these fights is the reason why it doesn't happen very often. So if you went, awesome job. Dez Hill, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Have a good day, man. Appreciate it.
High Fight IQ, presented by Expanse Energy.